It's 1 a.m. You told yourself you'd sleep 2 hours ago. Your thumb moves on its own, flick, 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 and somewhere underneath the exhaustion, a quiet voice asks, "Why can't I just put this down?" Here's the uncomfortable truth. You're not weak, you're not lazy, you are losing a fight that was engineered, deliberately, scientifically, for you to lose. The feed in your hand is not a window, it's a slot machine. And tonight, we're going to find out exactly how it was built and who built it. To understand your thumb, we have to go back to 1957 and to a psychologist named B. F. Skinner. Skinner studied animals pressing levers for food. At first, he did the obvious thing: press the lever, get a pellet. Every time, reliable, predictable, and the animals worked for their food at a steady, unremarkable pace. But then Skinner changed one thing, one small, fateful thing. He made the reward random. Sometimes the lever gave food, sometimes it gave nothing. The animal could never predict which, and the pigeons went berserk. They pressed that lever harder, faster, and for far longer than any predictably fed animal ever had. Skinner had discovered something dangerous. He called it the variable ratio reinforcement schedule. You know it by another name. The most addictive reward is not a guaranteed one. It's a maybe. Now fast forward 60 years. The pigeon is you, the lever is your screen, and the random pellet is the next post. Think about what happens every time you pull to refresh. You don't know what you'll get. Maybe nothing. Maybe a boring ad. Or maybe something hilarious, shocking, or validating. That tiny spinning wheel before the feed loads, that's not a loading delay. On many platforms, it's a designed pause. The anticipation is the product. Here's where it gets neurological. We tend to think dopamine is the chemical of pleasure. It isn't quite. Dopamine is the chemical of anticipation, of wanting. It spikes not when you get the reward, but in the uncertain moment before it, when the reward is still possible. Which means the most potent moment isn't the funny video. It's the half second before it loads, when your brain whispers, "What if this one's amazing?" The feed is infinite precisely so that moment never has to end. There is no bottom. There was never meant to be. Now you might be thinking, surely this is a side effect, an accident. Surely no one meant to do this. They meant to. The pull to refresh gesture you use 100 times a day was created by a designer named Loren Brichter. He later said he never intended it to be addictive, and that he now feels a measure of regret about what it became. The mechanic was simply too good at one job, keeping you there. And he wasn't alone in that regret. A wave of early tech insiders, designers, executives, product leads from the biggest platforms on earth began stepping forward to say the same thing. They described internal goals measured in a single currency: attention. Your attention. Counted in seconds, optimized like a factory output. Some of them pulled their own kids off these apps. Some kept their own phones in grayscale to make them less tempting. The builders, it turned out, were afraid of the thing they'd built. When the architects start child-proofing their own creation, it's worth asking what they know that we don't. So let's go back to that 1 a.m. moment, and let's be fair to you. Because the standard advice, just have more self-control, fundamentally misunderstands the fight. On one side of the scale, your tired, single human brain. On the other, thousands of the world's smartest engineers, billions of dollars, and software that runs experiments on you, testing which button color, which notification, which sound keeps you scrolling a few seconds longer. You are not in a battle of willpower. You're in an unfair fight against an opponent that learns. Every notification badge is red for a reason. Red signals urgency and danger to the human eye. Every "someone tagged you" is engineered to exploit your fear of social exclusion, a fear older than civilization itself. These aren't features, they're levers, and each one was tested on millions of people until it pulled as hard as it possibly could. So if you've ever felt a flush of shame for wasting 3 hours in a feed, let that go. You didn't fail a test of character. You were simply playing a game that was rigged before you ever picked up the controller. But here's the part the slot machine doesn't want you to hear. Once you can see the machine, you can start to beat it. Not with willpower, with design of your own. Turn your screen to grayscale, strip out the colors engineered to grab you, and the magic drains away. Kill the notifications. You decide when to check, not the app. Put the phone in another room while you sleep, so the lever isn't within reach of your thumb. And when you feel that pull to refresh, name it out loud. That's the variable reward talking. Naming the trick is how you take its power. You will never out-willpower the machine, but you don't have to. You just have to stop playing the game on its terms. The pigeons never knew they were in a box. You do now. And that one piece of knowledge, is the one thing the design never accounted for. So the next time your thumb starts moving on its own at 1 a.m., you'll know exactly who's pulling the lever, and you'll know you can walk away.